Good afternoon. My name is Jürgen Steinmetz, joining you from eTurbo News in Honolulu and livestream.travel. Today, we attended a press conference by the Africa Business Forum 2022. And the event will start on Monday. The press conference gave a glimpse of information, what will be discussed. Specifically important is investing in multimodal transport infrastructure to optimize the benefit of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement and a focus on air transport and tourism. One of the keynote speakers on Monday will be Dr. Walter Memzebi. He is also the new chair for the World Tourism Network Africa chapter and will be laying out his ideas that actually started when he was a Minister of Tourism for Zimbabwe in 2017. So we're excited about it. This press conference today gives you a glimpse. Unfortunately, there was a technical issue, so the press conference did not fully conclude, but you can see some slides and you can hear the excitement of some of the speakers to get ready for the upcoming Monday event.
And where I was supposed to speak, and then hopefully midway through the session, she might be able to join us. She's going to make an effort to join us, but she's currently meeting one of the heads of state.
Okay, that's great. Well, thank you, everybody, and welcome to the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa and All Africa Press Conference for the upcoming 2022 Africa Business Forum. This will be the 5th forum.
Recording in progress.
Right. This will be the 5th forum, with previous forums all covering important issues in Africa's drive towards the UN Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Previous themes have covered investment, health, and innovative finance, amongst others. The theme for the upcoming 2022 African Business Forum is investing in multimodal transport infrastructure to optimize the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area. This is with a focus on air transport and on tourism. So today we're going to have 3 speakers, followed by a question and answer session. And as the speakers deliver their messages, please feel free to put questions into the chat box. As you go, I will get to the questions at the question and answer, but please, even as the speakers are speaking, post your questions and, we'll get to them on the second. This meeting is being recorded for everybody's notice. We also have translation services available. When you select your preferred language, please do press mute original audio if you don't want to hear the other language as well. So I think I'll give you the floor, Mr. Karingi, as you will be standing in for Madam Vera Songwe. Thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you very much, Tendai. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So I think you have given a good background, Tendai, on this Africa Business Forum series that we started since Vera Songwe became our executive secretary. And I would want to ask you to look at the background that I'm using. It has something called Ideas for a Prosperous Africa, Ideas to Action. So essentially this business forum are supposed to be platforms where we demonstrate how the ideas that we generate can actually be taken to the next level in terms of action. Because as you know, ECA has and continues to generate great ideas for this continent. And as we have done that, much has changed. The private sector in the continent today has become stronger and it is getting stronger. The private sector also has access to open doors in most of our capitals. So these forums are to not only make the dialogues between governments and private sector easier, but also to show how our ideas can be turned into actions. As you know, the government then would have to facilitate and the private sector would invest. and finance these ideas. So as Tendai has said, we have done one on health, we even did one on energy, and now we are doing this one on transport and tourism. So this has been a 5-year journey, and we are proud to be able to show the results from some of the previous forums that we have had. During the pandemic, as you saw, the ECA was very active, but more importantly, the African private sector and the African governments were actually very well primed to respond to the health crisis. Some of the ideas that they were using in terms of scaling up pharma production, ideas for pools procurement in the pharmaceutical areas, are ideas actually that were advanced in the Africa Business Forum, where we focused on health. Now, during COP26, you saw there was a deal that was struck by a South African bank and one of the big pension fund managers globally about refinancing in the energy sector under the SDG initiative. This is another result of what these forums have actually been able to deliver. So we are looking forward to being able to give a positive feedback in the years ahead about this year's Africa Business Forum. And if you like now, Tendai, I can go ahead now and talk about the forum we are going to have on Monday.
Yes, I think that would be great, but I just want to make everybody very clear that Mr. Stephen Karingi is the Director for Regional Integration and Trade Division. And he will also, I think just now you're going to give us some research findings as well from the Commission. Yeah, fantastic.
Absolutely. So I wanted to at least demonstrate to our journalists that this journey, why we have it, and some of the results that we have achieved, and why we believe that it is good that they participate and they popularize, disseminate a lot of what we are going to discuss on Monday. So I would like to start by saying that resilience of African economies, as we all know, has become an important part of policy and action conversations. And there are very many ways to build resilient economies. Now, deepening integration in the continent, and especially having a growth of intra-African trade, is one of those ingredients for Africa for creating resilience. Now, the good thing is that we have evidence that deeper intra-African trade proved very important during the financial crisis. And during this pandemic, the importance of regional integration and deeper trade among African countries was also reinforced as an important part of the development process of the continent. Now, we have the framework and the instruments for building resilience with us, and key among them is the African Continental Free Trade Area. So based on the work we have done here at the ACA, we have shown that intra-African trade is of high quality when you compare it to most of the trade that Africa has with the rest of the world. We have been able to show that the AfCFTA, if effectively implemented, will lead to growth of intra-African trade in agro-foods, services, and industry by at least 40%, just by implementing the goods protocol and the services protocol. And this, we believe, is going to be even greater when the African countries deliver on the phase 2 negotiations, which are going to focus on investment, competition, digital trade, and intellectual property rights. Now, so if I can zero in on services, it is good to note that 2/3 of global manufacturing depends on services. And it is the same for Africa. Services are crucial to the industrialization of the continent because you cannot manufacture without services. Now, the AfCFTA offers a good base for manufacturing in Africa, but this is not going to happen without services and associated infrastructure. Most of the intra-African trade in services, based on the work we have done, is going to be realized in the tourism and the transport sector. So in our mission of ideas to action, we have asked the question, how do you translate this to reality? How do you foster, catalyze investments in transport and in tourism? How do you generate jobs based on this transport sector services growth, transport sector infrastructure and services that are going to be required under the AfCFTA? And subsequently, of course, we believe if you have the investments and you have the jobs, then we are on our path to prosperity. So the forum that we are going to have on Monday is therefore going to focus on bringing together leaders in both public and private sector to discuss what they are doing. And also on our part, we will show those leaders and the private sector captains how transport corridors are going to change, how they are going to require more investments, the opportunities that they are going to present, and we will be able to show in which country and in which region. We will also be able to demonstrate, and you're going to hear this from Robert, the rolling stock, or what we call wagons, that are needed for the additional rail tracks, the additional tracks for the extra trade that is going to happen on the road, the vessels that you require for the maritime trade, and of course, other related needs in terms of port expansion. All these are contained in the study that we are going to present shortly. So we have some numbers in terms of the investments, but it would be good for me to note at this point that we do actually have railway rolling stock manufacturing in South Africa. Those of you who have also followed the news, Kenya recently established a shipbuilding industry. And we know that there are a lot of jobs that are there in the manufacturing of this rolling stock, also in shipbuilding, the repair of the trucks, and everything that goes with the transport sector. So these second round benefits of the AfCFTA, therefore, will go beyond the initial benefits of producing and trading of goods and services. So we hope that at the end of the day, we will be able to get investors within the continent and from outside the continent being able to see the opportunities in terms of the transport sector within the continent. And at the same time, we hope that the government will be able to see the importance of making it easier by opening up the services trade under the AfCFTA and making sure that the regulations are harmonized so that everyone benefits from the AfCFTA. So I will stop here, and then you'll see the numbers when Robert makes his presentation. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you very much. So next, we're going to have some key inputs, as we have heard from Mr. Robert Lisinge, and he is the Chief of Energy, Infrastructure and Services section of the Economic Commission for Africa. The floor is yours, Mr. Lisinge.
This is Jürgen Steinmetz with eTurbo News in Honolulu, and we're just showing you some slides. There had been some difficulties in doing the rest of the presentation due to technical issues, but these slides will give you just a short idea about what the ongoing discussion will be, or the discussion on Monday. And we at eTurbo News are extremely excited because Dr. Walter Memzebi, who is also the head of the World Tourism Network Africa chapter, will be one of the keynote speakers on Monday. So this is just a taste of what the discussion is on African continental free trade and the opportunities for Africa through the United Nations system to help with the infrastructure on transportation and the importance of this through tourism. So enjoy the rest of the slides, and then stay tuned till Monday, till we get back and hopefully cover the rest of the event, and specifically the speech for Dr. Walter Memzebi.